First, they clashed over Brexit. Now, it's vaccines. Tonight, the EU, led by Ursula von der Leyen, is preparing to introduce new export controls, which could lead to outright bans on vaccine shipments to the UK, specifically because the vaccination rate here is higher than Europe's, and the Prime Minister isn't ruling out UK retaliation.
New rules, which will be discussed by European leaders tomorrow, are targeting those countries with advanced vaccination programmes that are not exporting doses to the continent. The European Commission argues the EU has exported 10 million doses to the UK, but none have been sent in the other direction. Here's the BBC's Europe editor, Katya Adler.
You're welcome.
He says he intends to move on and says Scotland should move on too. But Alex Salmond's fight with the Scottish Government isn't over yet.
The former First Minister is saying he'll go to court over the conduct of Leslie Evans, the head of the civil service. Ms Evans has been criticised for her role in the government's handling of harassment complaints against him. Here's our political editor, Glenn Campbell.
Leslie News.
It's funny, isn't it? Many people might have thought the door was kind of closing on this yesterday, but perhaps not. And Alex Salmond, in his statement, that was quite lengthy today, he also said that he's asking the police now to investigate that leak of the story about the original complaints against him back in 2018 to the Daily Record. So he's now asking them to do that.
But then he does say after that, that's it. Let's move on to the election, draw a line. So perhaps chapter closed.
Maybe. Well, there's loads more political debate and discussion coming up on this channel later on. Stephen Jardine has all the details.
Wednesday night.
John Lewis has announced 8 store closures, including its store in Aberdeen, putting more than 1,500 jobs at risk across the UK. Aberdeen's already lost Debenhams and Topshop within a year, and the shop's closure casts a shadow over the future of the city's high street.
The announcement comes on the same day a report to protect energy jobs in the oil sector was revealed, despite criticism from environmental campaigners. The Nine's India Grant has this report.
Still in force.
Well, 12 months ago, hospitals were preparing for a wave of patients suffering with a new disease they knew little about. Since then, around 1,700 people have been admitted to intensive care. A third didn't survive. Someone who did was Paul Henderson. He was admitted on this day last year as his symptoms rapidly worsened. Our health correspondent, Lisa Summers, has been catching up with him. Now, in the past few minutes, the Scottish Government has announced that nurses will receive a 4% pay rise here. That's in contrast to the 1% pay rise offered to nurses in England by the UK Government. Well, our Chief News correspondent, James Cook, is here. I say with all the details, but this has literally just dropped into our inboxes, hasn't it? What can you tell us, James?
That's right, Rebecca. Just staff in Scotland, excluding doctors, but nurses, paramedics, porters and so on, a 4% pay rise.
Yeah, so NHS unions are now going to consult their members on the offer. Thank you so much for that, James.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Next month. And you can just picture it now, with Stephen Hendry winning all those finals. I bet you Jimmy White will win in the qualifying round.
Exactly. Good Heart supporter, Stephen Hendry.
Did not know that.
Wonder if he was snapping his cue over his knee in fury last night.
Probably.
Some choice language in my car on the way home, I can promise you that. I tell you what, though, watching those Brora boys, it's my team and whatever, they take a kicking, but you've got to love little clubs like that.
Absolutely.
Doing that. And I don't mean to be patronising when I say little clubs, but clubs from small towns, giant killing.
800 people live
Just
in Brora.
brilliant.
So the
good
fact
for them.
that it's
Absolutely.
incredible.
Good luck. I hope they have a great run.
The magic of the cup, as we say.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The real sadness, though, as you pointed out quite rightly, Amy, for those 800 people in a village of Brora, is that they couldn't get in to see it last night. I mean, what a night.
100-year-old David, well, almost 100, who's probably waited a long time.
Yeah, and he will be a club legend these guys, will be club legends for as long as they live. In 50 years' time, they'll be back in that ground showing people around doing all hospitality stuff. Their pictures will still be on that wall. Good on them. They deserve it.
Thanks, guys.
Amy. Now, the computer gaming industry has developed and diversified in a whole range of ways over recent years. The rise of esports, or competition-level computer gaming, has offered the most talented players a chance to turn their hobbies into big-money careers. If they're selected for the biggest teams, they can enjoy the stardom and income of traditional sports stars. Now, experts say Scotland must ensure we have the skills to cash in. Our innovation correspondent, Laura Goodwin, reports.
packed to read. It's still windy and there's more rain coming in from the west later on in the day. That's the forecast.
Thanks, Gillian. I think you're going to need your waders and your rain hat.
It's that time of year, isn't it? The weather doesn't know what to do with itself.
Yeah.
Snow 1 minute, sun the next. I know how it feels.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Right, that is just about all we've got time for tonight.
Yes, I'll be back here from the same time tomorrow with Laura Goodwin.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed for watching this evening, though. As ever, whatever you're doing for the rest of the evening, what's left of it, have a good one. Good night.
Good night.